everybody! It is Carolina here from the Oak Bluffs Public Library here on the island of Martha's Vineyard, and tonight it is time for Cooking with Carolina. So I would like to thank the Library Friends of Oak Bluffs for sponsoring this program and providing me with all the ingredients. Tonight we will be making Quiche Lorraine-ish. I've switched up the ingredients just a tiny bit, but basically it's Quiche Lorraine. So, I have out all my ingredients. We have some pie shells, which I always buy pie shells rather than making the pie crust because my pie crusts never turn out quite as good as the store-bought anyway. And it's obviously much easier and faster, and it's kind of hard to roll out a whole pie crust on the counter sometimes. It takes a lot of room. Then I also have some eggs, some Swiss cheese, as well as cheddar jack, because I don't have enough Swiss to do the whole thing Swiss. I have 1 onion, milk, and some mayonnaise. And of course the spinach. So the first thing that we need to do is to preheat our oven. So we're going to preheat it to 400. I just got back from a big walk outside, so I'm a little unprepared, but I'm getting there. Now, we need to chop up our onion. And we'll be putting this to the side, so you'll probably need 2 separate bowls, or you could even just use a little plate for the onion. It does not take much onion at all. About a 1/4 cup of chopped onion. We'll just put it. Now, a 1/4 cup isn't much, and this is, hi Jack, this is a small onion. It might end up being a little more than a 1/4 cup once I have this chopped up, but you know what, I'm just going to go with it, because why save just a tiny bit of onion? Or waste it, for that matter. Quiche is honestly not one of my favorite things. Oh, why thank you, Jack. Do you watch a lot of cooking shows? I tend to maybe have quiche once or twice a year, so I'm getting it out of the way early this year, huh? So despite it not being one of my favorite things, it's been on my mind quite a bit because I have 3 chickens, but they have been giving me a lot of eggs. So I have all these eggs that I need something to do with. And we've already made French toast. And omelets. And things like that. So quiche just seems to be the next most logical thing to make with all these eggs. And you know what? I lied. I'm not going to use all this onion because this is quite a bit more than a 1/4 cup. So you can either toss the excess or you could take a little bag, freeze it. I'm trying to debate if I do freeze it, will I actually use it? I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. doing pretty well so far with these glasses on and the onion. Usually I'd be sobbing at this point. Must be at a good angle. Okay, that's about good there. So I'm just gonna take a side. I guess I'll even be really precise and measure this. I'll be right back. So I'll actually do a 1/4 of a cup. There we go. Put that aside in a bowl. And then actually I don't think we even need to chop anything else. So I'm just gonna put this to the side and decide what to do with it later. Why not? All right, now we need about 10 ounces of spinach. And actually a lot of the recipes often call for frozen spinach, which I always have on hand anyway. But this is a 16-ounce package, so we're gonna have to take some of it out. And also you want it to be thawed and squozen dry. And yes, squozen is a word. Okay, so let's put some aside. I'm actually gonna get a little bag. I'm gonna put the excess in a bag. Make some noise. And if you want to be really precise, if you have a little digital scale, you could actually weigh it to get to your 10 ounces. I'm just gonna guess. And if it's a little more, I don't mind, because I like spinach anyway. Okay, now we need to thaw this because it's still all frozen. So I think what I will do in this case is to actually just put it in the microwave and basically cook it. Maybe I'll take one more of these chunkaroonies out. There we go. Okay, so let's put this in. And while we're waiting for that, we can move along here. We want to take a 1/2 a cup. This calls for light mayonnaise. I have canola mayonnaise. I guess that's lighter than normal mayonnaise, so we'll go with it. And we want 1/2 a cup of this. So I have, it might fit. Oh, it does. Okay. I have my 1/4 measuring cup here. So that's about a 1/4 cup. Now, I've never heard of a quiche with mayonnaise before, but it is supposed to make it very light and fluffy. So why not? We'll give it a try. I know mayonnaise can be a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. Some people really detest mayonnaise. I personally am a fan, not overly so, but I do find it quite necessary on some sandwiches. All right. And now we need a half a cup of milk. Okay, now we'll take this and we will whisk it together. Okay, our spinach just finished, so I'm gonna go grab that. Now, this particular spinach does not have much moisture at all, so I don't really feel the need to try to squeeze excess out of it. I guess I could get a little out. We'll see what we can do here. And the reason you want to get the excess water out is so it doesn't make your quiche watery and not bind well and, you know, make the eggs cook in a strange way. Can't have that. Okay, I'm going to take this handy dandy tool here and I'm going to go over to the sink and just kind of squeegee a little of the excess liquid out. Okay, and actually now that I've done that, I do feel like it was justified and you definitely should squeeze out that excess, because there was enough that came out. Now, we're going to mix our eggs into the milk mixture. Now I'm cracking them into here first because sometimes, as much as I love my chickens, they are not always trustworthy in their quality. I have gotten a bunk egg in there once or twice, which is never fun, and you don't want to ruin your whole dish by adding the eggs in directly and then having it be turnt. Okay, so we added 4 eggs into that mixture. And now we will whisk these in. Now, I have never made a quiche with mayonnaise before. Like I said, quiche not high on my list. Maybe make one a year. So I'm curious how it'll turn out. This could be revolutionary. noticed about this recipe is it does not call for salt or pepper. But I think I'm gonna add a little. Just a pinch. Okay, now that we have that, we need to prep our cheese. And the cheddar jack that I have is pre-shredded. This Swiss is not. And the Swiss has been hanging out for a while, so I'm happy to use it up. Now we've preheated the oven to 400, so it does cook pretty hot. And for quite a while too. It'll cook for about an hour total. Just like a regular pie, which I was tempted to make as well. It's a pie kind of day, I guess. Today here on Martha's Vineyard, it's been extremely gray. I dressed for the day. And cold. We had sort of a sugar dusting of snow that is still on the ground. Perfect day to read a book by the fire. Which may be exactly what I do later. Although I'm hooked on this new series called Dark. It's a German show on Netflix. Has anybody watched that? It's good. If you like sci-fi, very good. Okay, so that was we want 8 ounces cheese. That was an 8-ounce block with a little bit gone, so I'm just going to grab a handful of this cheddar jack and mix that in there. And now we're ready to get building a quiche. So let us do a little cleanup, tidy. We want to get a baking sheet and line that with some tin foil. Then, I still needed those scissors. See, now after this, I'll have to make some other kind of pie. A 1-dish pie. Maybe a pumpkin pie. Okay, now we'll put our pie crust on our baking sheet. we're going to do some layers. Let's see, how should we start? I think with spinach. So you can just use your hands if you want. I find that's easiest. Or you could use a fork, spoon. Kind of break up the spinach a bit. We'll attempt a fork. Maybe that'll break it up a little. Not that it has to be too perfect. We'll put a little of the onion and a mix of our cheeses. And basically we're just doing some layers here of the spinach and onion and cheese. Mash that around a little bit. And our last layer. Spread that around a little. Very nice, very good. Put the last of the onion all around. And of course you could probably stick this all in a bowl and mix it all together in advance and put it in there, but it's not quite as fun somehow. It's nice to build something. Wow, it's a good thing this was a deep dish pie shell here. We're taking it to the limit. All right, very exciting. Now we'll pour on our egg mixture. And I think we need to do this slowly so the egg seeps in and you don't spill over. Because it is fairly tightly packed with the spinach and cheese mixture. Ooh. You did. There's a special guest appearance by Mittens and Dashel. Okay, babe. Alrighty. I'm going to give this just a minute to soak in before I do the next step. I can do a little cleanup again while we do this. See you soon, babe. Okay, so now we're going to actually cover this with foil, which is why I wanted it to soak in just a little bit, so the egg mixture doesn't get all over the foil. Not really wanting to soak in that much. Let me see if I can create a little space in there. I don't think it's really going to do it. Well, okay then. So, we will cover it with our foil. I'm going to bring it over and have you guys be able to take a closer look before it goes in. So there we are. We have our spinach and onion and cheese mixture in there. And now we are going to cover it, whoopsie, with some foil. And we're going to gently cover it here. Now you don't want it too tightly wrapped here because you will take this foil off. So you want to be able to remove the foil and be able to safely do that while it's hot. So don't like really crinkle it under there. Don't crimp it. Okay, now we're going to put this in the oven. I personally have discovered that my particular oven cooks best when I have the rack on the lowest setting possible, and that's where I cook most things. It seems to cook much more evenly and works a lot better for pies and cookies and things. So I'm sticking with it. So now I have put the quiche in. We'll put that in the 400-degree oven for 45 minutes. Then, when our 45-minute timer, let's put on the timer. Okay, now we have our 45-minute timer. We put that on. When that goes off, we're going to take the aluminum foil off and bake it for another 10 or 15 minutes until the filling has set. And we can check that filling for setting by using, I like to use a non-serrated knife and see if anything clings to it is my usual way of doing it. So I will post in the results how everything went and the final result, the taste test, and we'll do another one next week for Cooking with Carolina. So thank you for joining me and take a deep breath. It's been a crazy week. Still might be pretty crazy, so let's have a nice relaxing time today while we can. Things seem pretty mellow. So bye everybody.